you look around you and you put this to rational test. Do you know women who are brilliant, women who are intelligent, and who are not able to work? I'm sure all of us know. We all, we all are part of the same country. If there is 20% women workforce participation, we know, we see it around us all the time. So if you see women who are great, who would have, contributed so much to the company, to the country, to the GDP, had they been able to work, then maybe try and enable that in some way. The reality is that even today the mindset is gendered. Even the most progressive people do end up falling prey to the conditioning that women are the nurturers. They are the ones who will end up looking after the children. And if that is what is happening, it will take some time to change, while that change is also underfoot. Till that time the change fully happens, make it easier for the women in your team to be able to go back on time and respect their decision to work from home, a few days if they need to. In HUL, there is a specialization that happens after a point, and I felt like, the new developments that are happening around the world, even in India, where, new technology, new models, those things I'm not getting to learn. And that was, in fact, one important factor of me getting onto the entrepreneurship path. So for me, that was the challenge I sought.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With all theory, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At All Tuning, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% club. Click on the link in the description now.
So we are three of us who are co-founders of FlexiBees. Deepa, her story, where she took a break for a couple of years. She's a CA, she's an MBA, she's a management consultant. And after taking a break for a couple of years, she found it difficult to return, especially if she wanted a bit of flexibility. And we thought, this is unacceptable. We want to do something about it. I left my job and we started FlexiBees.
So, I really wanted to touch upon this a little bit. You mentioned about participation of women in the urban areas being even lower, right? Why do you think that happens? Like, what are we lacking in understanding? Why do we think that they don't belong to workplaces?
There are 2-3 reasons behind this. So, see, the thing is that working, in India, or rather not working in India, is also a privilege. So there are households which can't afford for the women to not work. Everybody who is working age goes out and works. That happens in rural geographies. Everybody is working. Women are working, girls as young as 15, 16 are working. But as you start gaining, in India, as you start gaining, upward mobility, there is enough money that the single earner in the family is bringing, and then you have children to take care of also. It makes sense in the traditional system to then have the man earning and the woman taking care of the children. So that is what happens. That's one reason. And of course, these responsibilities are gendered. So it's usually the man who's earning and the woman who's taking care of the children, which results in a lot of women dropping out. That's one reason. Lack of good childcare infrastructure, which is affordable, that's another reason. And lack of flexibility at the workplace, which is a bridge. So which can help women, in spite of these reasons, come back quickly. That would be the third reason.
The things that we are doing to bring women take the center stage, like there are quotas and there are diversity factors and everything that B schools are also trying to rope in more and more, women to participate and be women managers, right? Do you think that whatever is being done is enough, or do you think there are other steps that can be taken to, take it further?
So first of all, there are other steps also that are being taken. So I would say quotas and reservations is one part of the story, but there are also, interventions need to be made at a much earlier stage when, girls are studying. Inspire them, role models, so important. Tech, make them aware of tech and coding. These are good roles to have. These are good skills to have. So a lot of these kinds of things that will in its own way ensure that more and more women end up going into higher education because they're able to sell to their families that they will actually bring a high return on this investment. So a lot of these kinds of things which happen even before the quotas and the reservations hit are important and are happening. But I would say these help, all of these things help. But what it is still not able to stop is the dropout. So women come up to a certain stage and then there is a steep fall. So that needs to be fixed as well.
One more thing that I wanted to talk about, since we are talking about it and discussing this, is the mindset that we have, right? The fact that we think that it's okay is a problem. Everyday conversations में कितनी बार आता है ये conversation कि अच्छा women participation नहीं है, हमने सिर्फ बोल लिया, tokenism कर लिया, खत्म हो गया, और साल में एक बार women's day मना लिया, right? Beyond that, what is your and my responsibility to make sure that we create that buzz, we create that need, we tell people that तुमने एक टाइप की लीडरशिप देखी है, दूसरे टाइप की लीडरशिप नहीं देखी है, तो तुम्हें पता नहीं who is the better leader.
You look around you and you put this to rational test. Do you know women who are brilliant, women who are intelligent, and who are not able to work? I'm sure all of us know. We all, we all are part of the same country. If there is 20% women workforce participation, we know, we see it around us all the time. So if you see women who are great, who would have, contributed so much to the company, to the country, to the GDP, had they been able to work, then maybe try and enable that in some way, or talk about that a little bit more. If you are in an organization in a role where you can play a role or make a difference, then definitely enable women to be able to balance some of the other responsibilities that they have today. Because the reality is that even today the mindset is gendered. Even the most progressive people do end up falling prey to the conditioning that women are the nurturers. They are the ones who will end up looking after the children. And if that is what is happening, it will take some time to change, while that change is also underfoot. Till that time that change fully happens, make it easier for the women in your team to be able to go back on time and respect their decision to work from home, a few days if they need to. Or not expect them to be physically present for every meeting. A mindset of flexibility. And I would say right now that increasingly more men also want to work with a lot more flexibility. So if you want to retain good talent as an organization, then it becomes important to offer that in any case.
With the FlexiBees, now how many years has it been?
5.
5 years of starting up, right? What sort of challenges have you faced in the initial phases? Did you ever feel that it was a mistake that we committed?
Yeah, I mean, हर entrepreneur को कभी ना कभी तो feel होता है कि सही किया कि नहीं किया. I think that self-doubt is inevitable. But I think for us, it's when we hear stories of women who've returned successfully because of us, who are working.
Can you tell us a few of these stories? And have whatever has reached you that has inspired you a lot?
Absolutely. So I think one of the earliest people we placed was this marketing professional who had been at home for some years, and she was able to work for only around 4 to 5 hours. That's all in a day that she would be able to work, and that's why she wasn't able to work full time. And we helped place her in a big multinational company in a customer marketing role. And at first, the arrangement was that she was working 4 to 5 hours a day, working remotely. But as she started working, she gained confidence. The company gained confidence in her. And they kind of mutually agreed to start increasing her hours. So her hours increased. It became 7 to 8 hours. Her role went from being fully remote to maybe working remotely 2-3 days a week, the rest of the time in the office. She started getting more and more integrated with the team. With the company, and today she is working actually full-time with them. So that was a great success story for us, and we've seen it in our own team. So one of my best sales professionals so we of course hire from our own pool. So we have a 45 member team. All of them are women from our pool. Majority of them work part-time. All of us work remotely. And of course, most of them are mothers and returning mothers at that. So there was my best, sales professional, or one of my best sales professionals was sitting in Vishakhapatnam. She had a 9-month-old kid, and she wasn't able to go out and work. Vishakhapatnam didn't have a lot of opportunities for her. She's a Navy wife, so they weren't able to relocate out of Vishakhapatnam. And I mean, for us, remote is our bread and butter. It's something that's very easy for us. We've been remote since day one. I didn't bat an eyelid hiring her. In fact, I thought if a person is willing to come and give their best as a sales professional while having a 9-month-old kid, that person must be having a lot of stamina and a lot of drive, and I wouldn't be able to find a better person than her. So she came and she started working with us, and she's grown with us in the company. She's leading a team now. So these are stories that we hear day in, day out, and they are the reason why even when we have self-doubt, we overcome them.
How big has FlexiBees become? You said that you have a pool now. And what is the model like? Like, how do you make money out of this?
Yeah, so we've given talent to 400 plus clients so far globally, and we have around 36 to 40,000 women with us at this point in time. The model is that we charge the companies. They come to us with a requirement. We have a back-to-back model or back-to-back contract with the consultant, and we retain a bit of margin and we pay the remaining. We pass on the remaining to the talent. That's how it works.
Do you think people have become more receptive? Companies have become more receptive? Because, of course, we all know work from home has become a norm now. 2 साल पहले work from home मांगो तो video call करके पूछेंगे काम कर रहे हैं कि नहीं दिखा. Did you see a change or a shift in that?
Yeah, hugely. So we are a pandemic-friendly company in that sense, and we saw an explosion in our demand once the pandemic hiring freeze was lifted. So first 3 months of the pandemic, of course, nobody was hiring. उसके बाद से जब hiring start हुई, our demand exploded, and the difference would be that, say, before the pandemic, we were getting a demand from startups, very tech-savvy companies, people who understand remote, who have no problems with people working from distributed locations. After the pandemic, we started seeing different kinds of client, businesses coming to us, also more traditional companies, packaging, logistics, manufacturing, companies from, various locations, not just your startup hubs, in India, various locations. We have today, I think, clients from across 50 cities in India that we provide talent to. And it's a very strong use case for them because their local vicinity may not have expert talent of the kind that they need. So they are opening up to remote to be able to get that great quality talent that they do need. Yeah.
One more gap that comes in because of, taking a break from a usual work cycle that you have is the skill gap that happens. Like every 2 years, there's something that is shifting. I remember I've seen Excel very differently and I see Excel a lot different than what it is. So I'm just giving an example. A lot of other things also shift along with that, right? How do you make sure that you keep upskilling yourself? How do you make sure that you are ready to take up a job that might come your way after 3 years, 4 years down the line?
Right. So actually, the ecosystem of skilling and reskilling has also moved a lot in the last few years. When we had started out, with the low-hanging fruit at that time, so to say, people whose, where the demand hadn't changed so much. So sales roles, for example, those kinds. But then we, started seeing that women themselves, and today people in general, are actually taking the initiative to upskill themselves. Everybody is doing a course. People are doing DIY themselves. They are, creating their own pages. They are starting to write on their own. They are doing internships. So a lot of those kind of things which help you in being more ready when the right opportunity comes.
I would like to mention Altuni as well. We are a platform who help people, skill themselves, upskill themselves. There are a lot of programs that are also running, and we have had run programs on AI, ML, data analytics, and a lot of them like digital marketing, specific programs, certificate programs on finance. So, coming back to your journey, with FlexiBees, you have spent so much time. While you look back in hindsight, do you think that if you would have continued with a company like HUL, if you would have continued to the well-known path or the treaded path of so many people who have done that in their lives, your life would have been different from what it is right now and less challenging?
Yeah, I think it would have been very different, maybe challenging in a different way. But we all, sort of hunger for different kinds of challenges. So for me, it was important to keep learning something new. In HUL, there is a specialization that happens after a point, and I felt like, the new developments that are happening around the world, even in India, where new technology, new models, those things I'm not getting to learn. And that was, in fact, one important factor of me getting onto the entrepreneurship path. So for me, that was the challenge I sought, that I want to keep learning. I want to keep learning in my life. And I don't want to just, specialize in one area and do really well at that. So I'm pretty happy.
Nice. This year's theme was the $1 million skill. What, according to you, is going to be the $1 million skill for people who are sitting here, who are watching this in the decade to come?
I would say radical learnability or extreme learnability. There is nothing else that's predictable, nothing else that you can say for certain, except that nothing will remain the same. And people who are in the space, you guys in the skilling space, we guys in the job space, see it every day. There are new roles that are emerging, every 6 months. So whether you are inside a corporate, you also need to keep your eyes and ears open, see what skills people are learning, what more you could do, what more your business could do. I mean, so many new business models have emerged, which have challenged large companies, the Nykaas and the sugar cosmetics of the world, which challenge the supremacy of, legacy FMCG companies, and so many others. So whether you are in a corporate, and definitely if you're in a startup, you have to keep your eyes and ears close to the ground. Make sure that you are upskilling yourself and open to new things that are happening.
Superb. Thank you very much, Shreya, for sharing these this knowledge and information with us. Any questions that you have for Shreya?
What I wanted to know now is that since you mentioned that how your startup FlexiBee is helping such mothers to get back on their feet, how can we better design or modify our job descriptions or our work profiles to suit such flexible workers or remote employees? And what are the pros and cons of having such employees?
One important part of how to modify JDs is to mention the fact that it is flexible, that you're open to remote and you're open to time-wise flexibility as well. And the other thing is to look for skills rather than experience, because there could be an experience gap if they're coming from from a break, but they may still have the skills, and to evaluate them on the skills. The other factor of the pros and the cons, there are pros and cons. I would say the pros is that you get experienced talent, and if you are employing them for, through part-time or flexi-time models, then you also get some benefit of the cost in that sense. Whereas, the human brain actually doesn't work the way that we think it works. When people come to offices to work for 10 hours, doesn't mean that they're actually putting in productive time for 10 hours. They probably, research says they work for, maybe 4 to 5 of hours, within that 10. It is a pretty good deal in that sense. The other thing is that these are women who come with professional experience. So work ethic is very strong. And today, in the talent space, where there's so much churn that happens, we are all going through that. Large companies are going through it. Startups are definitely going through that. It's difficult hiring talent that sticks. The fact that you're able to hire experienced professional people with good work ethic who also want some security. So while they may be working flexibly, it's not like they want to work with 5 different, companies, especially if you're talking about certain functions. So they want to be able to also work with you in a more secure way. So that is priceless. That's a priceless benefit, in my opinion.
I just wanted to ask you, how do you deal with people who are above your age in a team, and how do you work with them to get the results?
I don't know if I am fully and completely qualified to answer this, but from my own experience with my sales team, I'll tell you what was working for me. So I think, first of all, and it's not the same, because I understand you guys are from different functions, right? You're from a different function, so it's more like a interdepartmental, interfunctional relationship that you had, whereas in my case, I was their boss. that's still different, you know. And there could be maybe a subtle rebellion, but it won't be an open and out rebellion. But having said that, I think what helped is that I was very ready to learn, go on the field, understand. Even till now, I follow the guidance that my team gives me. If they are more experienced at a certain thing than I am, I listen to that experience, I respect it, and I do what they are asking for. There are other skills I bring. I mean, just because I am, their boss or in some way in charge of, giving them that input doesn't mean that I have to know better than them on everything. You know, that collaboration works best even if there is hierarchy, if you respect the skills they bring and they respect the skills that I bring. So I think that works. The other thing which I don't know if you are able to, if you are able to do is that the organization put its might behind that relationship working. So in our case, Unilever has had that structure. Young ASMs go and take over areas which have people who are much more experienced than those people. And it has become the norm. Everybody on the field is also used to it. And they respect it. They understand that there is a reason why these young people with no experience are coming to lead us. So I think the organization also making sure that people understand why a certain relationship has to work the way it does, what that person brings to the table, making sure it's non-negotiable. You know, this sort of, the tension or the rebellion is non-negotiable. It's not something that will be accepted. I think those things are also important.
All right, with that, we come to the end of this particular evening.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With all theory, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At All Tuni, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.